got an email over the weekend asking if I would introduce Carla to a small gathering of people at a hotel here in Chicago, and I said, of course I would. Then they walked me into the room, and I saw how many the small gathering entailed, and I wish I would have taken a Valium before I got here, but I'm going to get through this the best way I can. You know, one of the things, you said some wonderful things about Morgan Stanley. I will tell you the thing that I'm most proud about our organization. We have 16,000 financial advisors, 16,500 financial advisors all across the country. We have 8 regions like the one I am in charge of here in Chicago, and our total count of employees is just over 40,000. The person who runs our organization, our Global Wealth Management Organization's name is Shelley O'Connor. And if you don't think this is an incredible country, and if you don't think that our organization is fortunate to be a part of what we have in this country and living by the words that you spoke just a few moments ago, Shelley O'Connor, who runs the field management organization at Morgan Stanley, began her career at Morgan Stanley 30 years ago as a receptionist in a branch in San Francisco, California. And through hard work, through amazing leadership skills and her ability not only to communicate, lead, organize, and execute, she worked her way through the ranks at Morgan Stanley and now runs an organization that does $15 billion in revenue. That's expecting to win. So about 10 hours ago, Carla Harris was on a plane in Honolulu headed to Chicago. She is someone who we send all over the country to speak at events like this, and in a few minutes you're going to know exactly why. She is probably one of the most dynamic people that I've ever met. And I'm going to be very truncated when I tell you about her. If I went through the process of telling you all the things that she has done, all of the accolades that she has been afforded, she would have no time to make her comments. And I know that is something that you are looking forward to. But she is a vice chairman and managing director at Morgan Stanley. She became a Morgan Stanley employee in 1987. And just recently, some of the accolades that she has received: 50 most powerful black executives in America. That was by Fortune magazine. She was voted the top 25 most powerful women in finance, top 75 most powerful women in business. And in 2013, she was called by President Barack Obama to chair the National Women's Business Council. But that's not the best part. When I came to work with Carla, which was about 3 years ago, someone had told me, you will one day have a Carla Harris story. And I have one now. So I just recently got transferred here from Atlanta. And we had an outreach program with women's colleges and universities and historically black colleges and universities, where we were driving the process of improving our diversity flow into our industry. It's apparent to me that we don't have a really good presence on these campuses. We don't have a story that we tell consistently so that people can understand the career path they have with us. So we went to change that. So at Fisk University, which is in Nashville, Tennessee, I went and met with the folks there, the president, the head of the business college, and they asked me to speak at an event for their business college, about 250 people, their supporters, the business college leadership, and students who attend the college there. And they asked if I would come speak. And I said, well, I have someone who would be far more suited to that, named Carla Harris. And they looked at me and said, well, we want someone who's at least as good a public speaker as you are. I told them without question they had nothing to worry about in having Carla there. The story gets better. I get an email 3 days later that said Carla Harris was so incredible, so dynamic, and so wonderful, they asked her to come back to be commencement speaker at the May 5th graduation ceremony at Fisk University. Ladies and gentlemen, my pleasure to introduce Carla Harris.
Well, good afternoon, NAWBO Chicago. It is such an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm extremely excited, especially after getting the appointment Business Council because, as you know, NAWBO has a seat on the council, so I get an opportunity to work directly with the organization. And I could not be more thrilled because, ladies, and the few brave gentlemen that are in the room, now is our time. Now is our time. Unlike any other time before, as I like to say, chaos breeds opportunity. And would you agree with me, the last 6 years has been really chaotic. And when you think about women who have ascended to positions of leadership, it's all been through chaotic times. Need I mention Mary Barra right now? Need I talk a little bit about Meg Whitman? Need I talk a little bit about Ursula Burns? If you think about the women who are CEOs in this country today, each of them have risen to this opportunity when these organizations have been in chaotic times, and each has continued to put points on the board. When I think about this economic environment, I could not be more bullish. I have been a woman on Wall Street for 26 and a half years. So that's an amen there. I dare say I've learned a few things about not only thriving, but really more than surviving in the seat that you sit in or the seat that you aspire to sit in. And the reason that I'm so bullish on this time as our time is that you could not have a better economic backdrop. Despite the fact that you still see 6+% unemployment, despite the fact that every one of us have people in our lives that we know that are still having a tough time, I want you to think about some of the facts. We still have record low interest rates. There's still a lot of cash that is sitting on the sidelines that need to go into great ideas. Every women business owner in this room has a great idea and that has a great business. And now you have real dollars and real cash that's looking for great opportunities. There's also unprecedented talent that is in the marketplace today that you have an opportunity to absorb into your business. And oh, by the way, when you think about what has been happening broadly in the market with companies that have an opportunity to get access to public capital, let alone private capital, it all speaks to a really good perfect storm when it comes to entrepreneurship, which is one of the reasons that I could not be more excited about chairing the council at this time. And the thing that I've said to everyone is that when you think about the council, I want you to think about 4 things, because this is what our activity will be around. It will be around access to capital, because that has continued to be part of the issue for small business owners and certainly part of the issue for women business owners. But again, I say to you, a perfect storm, because it used to be you had to be in the old boys network if you wanted to get access to venture capital. But I ask you, witness what's going on with crowdfunding. Think about what the internet has done to disintermediate and actually take down walls in a number of industries. And I will submit to you that you will continue to see it be a great equalizer over the next couple of years with respect to access to capital. Look at what's going on with the accelerators, with the incubators. There are those that are cropping up now that are specifically looking for women entrepreneurs, did not exist 5 years ago. So I'm very, very bullish about this, again, being our time and a real opportunity for women business owners. But today, Gail and others have asked me to talk a little bit about some of the pearls that are in your book. And I want to thank Stan and Steve and my organization, Morgan Stanley, for making sure that everybody had a copy today. Because as I alluded to a little bit earlier, I have learned a few things about not only surviving, but more importantly, thriving in the seat that you sit in or the seat that you aspire to sit in. And I had the privilege of writing the book in 2009. And since I wrote the book, I've traveled all over the world, and most often in Fortune 500 companies, professional conferences like this. And people have asked me over and over, why did you write this book? Why are you so honest about everything that happened in your career? And I will tell you why. When I walked out of the lauded halls of Harvard undergrad and Harvard Business School, I embraced this whole concept of a meritocracy. Success was merely a function of how smart you were and how hard you worked. Yet, when I started my career, it didn't quite work out that way. You see, I thought I was pretty smart, magna cum laude, Harvard undergrad, second-year honors, Harvard Business School. Pretty smart, huh? I'm from the South, So I knew that there were very few of those boys in the Northeast that could outwork me. Yet, the combination of the two did not equal maximizing my success. So I had to ask myself, what's missing in this success equation? And being the anal person that I am, I went to the dictionary and I looked up the word meritocracy. And I don't care whose dictionary you go to, if you look up the word meritocracy, you will see the word objective somewhere in that definition. Yet, in all of our evaluative equations, there is a human element. And if there is a human element, by definition, it is subjective. It cannot be 100% meritocratic. So what are some of those other things that really inform your success equation? And I'm going to give you 4 of the pearls today, 4 that I think are equally as important if you're an entrepreneur or if you are working in a corporate environment. Now, I am an old deal-making gal. So can I make a deal with you this afternoon, NAWBO Chicago? And the deal is I will agree to tell you exactly how it is if you will agree to ask me anything on your mind when we get to the chocolate hour. Do we have a deal? Do we have a deal? Okay, all righty. So the first pearl that I want to leave you with, and it is the most important thing that I learned after 2.5 decades on the street. So do not be fooled when you read the book and you see that it is chapter 4, because it is the most important thing that I learned, and that is perception is the co-pilot to reality. How people perceive you will directly impact how they deal with you. Yes, the reality of how smart you are has something to do with your success equation. The reality of how hard you work has something to do with your success equation, but a very big component of your success equation is the perception that the marketplace has about you. What lens are they looking through when they are looking at you? And it's important that if you want to maximize your success in the seat that you're sitting in or the seat that you aspire to sit in, that you understand the adjectives that are associated with success for the seat that you're sitting in or the seat that you aspire to sit in. If you don't understand those adjectives, you can work really hard, but you won't maximize your success in that seat because you're working in a way that is inconsistent with the way they are thinking about success. If you would like to manage a large group of people, but you are not perceived as being motivational, inspirational, or organized, it doesn't matter that you can. It doesn't even matter that you did. You won't get the opportunity to do that if you are not perceived as such. If you would like to manage a large P&L, but you are not perceived as being analytical, quantitative, or strategic, doesn't matter that you can. Doesn't even matter that you did. You won't get the opportunity to do that. Now, people say to me all the time when I say that, but wait a minute, Carla, I am who I am. I can't make anybody think about me in a certain way. If you remember nothing else about our time together this afternoon, remember that you can train people to think about you in the way that you want them to think about you. And how do you do that? You pick 3 adjectives that you would like people to use to describe you when you are not in the room. And why do I say when you're not in the room? It's because all of the important decisions about your career will be made when you are not in the room. And all the important decisions about giving you a piece of business will be made when you are not in the room. Promotion decisions will be made when you're not in the room. Compensation decisions will be made when you're not in the room. And new assignments will be given out when you are not in the room. So how do you want people to describe you when you are not in the room? Pick 3 adjectives that are absolutely consistent with who you really are. Because I'm a big fan of the authenticity point. Nobody can be you the way that you can be you. It is your distinct competitive advantage. So pick 3 adjectives that are absolutely consistent with who you really are. However, pick 3 adjectives that are also valued in your organization. And if you don't know by now what's valued in your organization, you can go to any organization's website. There isn't an organization today that doesn't describe itself or its values on its website. And if they don't, think about what they told you when they hired you. Oh, Susan, we hired you for the following 3 reasons. Oh, Jane, you beat out these 4 candidates for these 3 reasons. They told you then what they valued about you. So the trick to maximize your success is to pick 3 adjectives that are consistent with who you really are, 3 adjectives that are valued in your organization or by your client, Where they intersect is how you must behave consistently if you want to train people to think about you in a certain way. Consistent behavior around those three adjectives. And my big aha moment, and my good friend Gwen and my sister Viet have heard me tell this story dozens and dozens of times, but every time I have the privilege and the honor of speaking in front of a group of people, I tell this story because it was indeed my aha moment. 5 to 6 years into my career, I had a very senior managing director say to me, "You know you're smart, you work hard, but I don't think you're tough enough for this business." Now, my first reaction is, what is he smoking? You can call Carla Harris a lot of things, but ain't tough ain't one of them. But then I said, wait a minute. Suppose this guy really doesn't think that I'm tough enough for this business. And heaven forbid, suppose the rest of the organization doesn't think that I'm tough enough for this business. And ladies and gentlemen, as you might imagine, the last thing that you want to be thought of as a woman, and a woman on Wall Street, is not tough. So after I got that feedback, I said, okay, I know what I'll do. For the next 90 days, I decided I would walk tough, talk tough, eat tough, drink tough, use tough in my language, because it's important that if you want to train people to think about you in a certain way, you must have consistent behavior around those three adjectives. Consistent behavior around those three adjectives. And you must use this language in your environment, particularly when you are talking about yourself. So I had a reputation of being very good at critiquing management presentations, so much so that before we would take a company on the road for a multi-billion-dollar IPO or multi-hundred-million-dollar common stock transaction, my colleagues would often ask me to come into the room, listen to that CEO's presentation, and give that CEO some feedback, even when it was not my deal. So the next time someone asked me to do that, after I'd gotten that feedback, I said, wait a minute. Tell me a little bit about this CEO. Is this guy sensitive? Does he have a thin skin? I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings because you know I'm tough. And I kept using this language over and over and over to describe myself. And sure enough, in about 90 days it worked. I had a team of people coming to see me, and they didn't know I was behind them. And the VP was beating up the poor associate. Do you have the backup analysis? Do you have the synergy analysis? We're going to see Carla Harris, and you know she's so tough. So they will start to think about you in that way if you have consistent behavior around those three adjectives. But it is imperative, ladies and gentlemen, that you understand the adjectives that are associated with success for the seat that you're sitting in or the seat that you aspire to sit in. If you are in finance, people better call you analytical, quantitative. You're in a marketing role, they better say you are creative, out-of-the-box thinker. If you're in a sales role, they better say that you are commercial, relationship-oriented. It's important that you understand the adjectives that are associated with success. And oh, by the way, if you're going to work for someone for the first time, it is important that you understand how they are defining success. You never walk into a client situation thinking that you understand what success looks like. You should always get them to tell you what they value. And if you know what the buyer is buying, then you know what to sell. I say to a lot of my colleagues, for example, there are 14 different adjectives that I could use to describe a successful financial advisor. I could say the person is comprehensive. I could say they're responsive. I could say solution-oriented, problem solver, results-oriented, thoughtful, connected, discreet. I can go on and on, but there are about 14 different ones that I would say describe a successful financial advisor. But the point is, what's going to be valued by the customer? So let me say the woman, that the customer is a woman. And let's put all women in three categories. I'm going to say that she's a new professional, 22 to 35, 35 to 55, she's a seasoned professional. That's me, I'm on the low end. And then 55 plus, I'm going to call her seasoned wealth. They're all women, but what are they going to value? Aha, the 22 to 35-year-old, she's going to value somebody who is patient because she doesn't know anything, and she wants someone who will teach her. She's going to value somebody who's comprehensive. She wants to know as much as possible. And she's going to value somebody who's resourceful because that's who she is. But the 35 to 55-year-old expert, what is she going to value? She's going to value somebody who's responsive. She's busy. When she calls, she wants you to pick up the phone. She's going to value somebody who is solution-oriented. She has lots of problems. Teenage kids, aging parents, no time to manage her own money. And she's also going to value somebody who's an expert. because that's who she is. But seasoned wealth, 55 plus, what is she going to value? She's going to value somebody who is discreet. She's going to value somebody who's connected. She wants to know that you're doing business with someone who looks like her. And she's going to value somebody who's thoughtful, because that's who she is. So the key to maximizing your success in any relationship business is to understand what the buyer is really buying. What adjectives are associated with success for the seat that you are seeking to occupy or the seat that you're in. The second pearl that I'm going to leave you with is, if you consider yourself a leader in the 21st century, you must be comfortable taking risks. You must be comfortable taking risks. 15 years ago, you could create a competitive differential for yourself if you had information that other people didn't have. But today, information is a commodity. The way that you can show that you're a leader is to show that you are comfortable taking risks, which means you are comfortable with change. And change is inevitable. Growth is good. There isn't a business that is that's in a leadership position that has not embraced and created change. But interestingly enough, since we have been in the environment that we've been in since 2009, and I've traveled all over this country, all I've heard is keep your head down, don't rock the boat, don't take any risks, don't rock the boat. 8% unemployment, now 6.6% unemployment. We're having our fourth restructuring, we're having our second reduction in force. Just keep your head down. Well, NAWBO Chicago, I'm here to tell you that keeping your head down will not keep you from getting shot. So as I like to say, you might as well keep your head up so you can see the bullet coming. No. I say that in jest, because what I'm really telling you is that when we are in environments like we have been in for the last 6 years, and everybody else is besieged with fear, and everybody else is ducking, you have clear vision. You have clear vision to see the opportunity. This is exactly the kind of economic environment where you can markedly accelerate your success, as you just heard from Lori's story. Now is the time not to keep your head down, because the issue with keeping your head down is you submerge your voice. And your voice is at the heart of your power. And when you submerge your voice, you become irrelevant. And when you become irrelevant, you put a big target on the front and a big target on the back. Now is the time to say, I know that we're trying to preserve our profitability. I have 2 ideas about how we should do that. I know that we're trying to cut costs. I have 3 ideas about how we should do that. I know we now have 2 people doing the same thing that 8 people were doing. That sounds like a process redesign. I'll take that on. Translation to management and translation to your investors. Wow, she's not worried about all the layoffs. She's not worried about the economic environment. She's trying to put points on the board, trying to move the ball down the field. She is a keeper. But when I ask myself why we don't take more risks, the only thing I can come up with is that we're scared. We're just scared. It's fear. And NAWBO Chicago, hear me clearly. Fear has no place in your success equation. Fear has no place in your success equation. Anytime you approach anything in your life, personally or professionally, from a position of fear, you will always underpenetrate that opportunity. And anytime I feel it creeping up the back of my neck, I remind myself of that old saying, fear is just false evidence of things appearing real. It's really not there. Because what's the worst that can happen if you take a risk and it doesn't work out? So you fail. But guess what? Failure always brings you a gift. And that gift is called experience. Now you know how to do it better. Now you know how to do it differently. Now you know how to do it successfully. At the margin, it is always worth taking the risk. And when I ask myself about these kinds of environments, I realize that it is in these kinds of environments where many of us will be shown new opportunity. And if you're not sure whether or not you should take the risk on the new opportunity, ask yourself 3 questions. Will the new thing give you skills and experiences that you would not get if you stayed in your current seat another 12 months? Second question, will the new thing expose you to people, relationships, and networks that you would not get if you stayed in your current seat another 12 months? Third question, will the new thing expose you to new branches on your personal decision tree of opportunity? I.e., you could go off and do some other things that you wouldn't have been able to do if you stayed in your current seat another 12 months. If the answer to all three of those questions is yes, you should absolutely take the risk. Third pearl I'm going to leave you with is the authenticity pearl. Nobody can be you the way that you can be you. It is your distinct competitive advantage. And any time that you are trying to be someone that you're not, you are really using valuable intellectual capacity that you could use to really understand what your client is saying, yet not articulating. Valuable intellectual capacity that you could use to demonstrate that quick twitch response. Valuable intellectual capacity that you could use to co-collaborate a solution with the other person on the other side of that table. As quiet as it's kept, most people are not comfortable in their own skin. So when they see someone who is comfortable and confident in their own skin, they will gravitate towards you. They want some of that. This was a very interesting lesson for me to learn. When I started in this business, I didn't want anybody to talk about the fact that I'm a singer. What Steve didn't tell you is that I've done 4 sold-out concerts at Carnegie Hall, and I have 3 gospel CDs. But when I started, thank you. But when I started in this business, I didn't want anybody to talk about the fact that I was a singer. I wanted to be known as a no-nonsense, hard-driving, analytical, quantitative investment banker. I'm not here to sing and dance, boys. Let's not get it twisted. Didn't want anybody to talk about that until I saw the client reaction. My colleagues and I would often go into a pitch, and they would say, oh, this is Carla Harris, our capital markets banker. But what you really ought to know about Carla, she's an amazing gospel singer. She's done concerts at Carnegie Hall. She has CDs, blah, blah, blah. And I was rolling my eyes until I saw the client reaction. Oh, you're a singer. Oh, I so admire people who can sing. And I personally love to sing, but my family will only let me sing in the shower. And maybe you could talk to my daughter about how she integrates her academics and her love of the arts and blah, blah, blah. And there we were having a 15-minute meeting before the meeting. Are you with me, ladies and gentlemen? The meeting before the meeting. So when I sat down to pitch, they heard me with a different ear. They saw me through a different lens because Carla Harris, the singer, was allowed to be in the room with Carla Harris, the banker. I naturally differentiated myself from the other 5 bankers that would come in there and pitch that same IPO that afternoon. So now, whenever I walk into a new situation, I bring Carla Harris, the investment banker. I bring Carla Harris, the prayer warrior. I bring Carla Harris, the investment manager. I bring Carla Harris, the writer. Carla Harris, the singer. Carla Harris, the speaker. Carla Harris, the golfer. Carla Harris, the football fan. I bring all those Carlas to the table. Because I don't know which Carla will be the one that will connect with that client and will allow me to own that relationship in a proprietary way. Your authenticity is at the heart of your power. Nobody can be you the way that you can be you. And if your success, like mine, depends upon your ability to successfully penetrate relationships, the easiest way to penetrate a relationship is to bring your authentic self to the table. It is at the heart of powerful, impactful, influential leadership. Quick story, 2006, the IPO that everybody wanted was the Burger King IPO. Every major investment bank wanted that IPO because it was going to be a $300 million IPO, and there had not been a quick service restaurant IPO for over a decade. So we're down in Miami. It's our turn to pitch. I'm over in the corner with the CEO, and I said, hey, John, are you guys going to bring back the Have It Your Way jingle? He said, Carla, funny you should ask. We have done our research, and we found out that that was the most successful jingle in Burger King's history. So we actually are thinking about it. I said, oh, cool. Are you guys going to bring back both verses of the song? He said, Carla, there was only one verse to the jingle. I said, John, I'm the original hamburger queen. Trust me. There were 2 verses to the jingle. He said, Carla, there was only one. I said, John, hold the pickle, hold the lettuce, special orders don't upset us. All we ask that you let us serve it your way. But if you want some special thing, it won't take long for us to swing it when you come to Burger King and have it your way. He said. Now, I'd like to tell you that's why Morgan Stanley won lead left on that IPO, but I won't go that far, but I will tell you that it created a proprietary relationship because long after that IPO was over, he would call me up when it was time for a quarterly announcement and say, hey, Carla, I just want to let you know this is what we're going to say to the street. I'd like to get your thoughts on how you think the street will react, what the stock price reaction would be, and if there's anything that you would change in the way that we're going to disclose this to the street. He trusted me because I had the courage to bring my authentic self to the table. Ladies and gentlemen, your authenticity is at the heart of your power. And as I close, I leave you with the final pearl. The most important component of anybody's success equation is an expectation that you will do well. You have to know that you know that you know that everything that you have done heretofore has uniquely informed your ability to maximize your success in the seat that you're sitting in or the seat that you aspire to sit in. You should never be daunted by challenges, ladies and gentlemen. Everything that you have done has given you the tools that you need to overcome any challenge that might present itself in your business. You may not have the answer at that point, but you know somebody who has the relationships or the information that you need to successfully prosecute any endeavor. There are three things in everybody's tool chest: your academic background, your experiential learning, and your network. There is no monopoly on intelligence. You won't always have the best idea. You won't always have the right idea. But you have somebody in your network that will give you that what you need. You should never think about doing it on your own. Yes, you have performance currency. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a business owner. Yes, you have an appetite for risk. Otherwise, you wouldn't be a successful business owner. But the tool that I find that we continually underleverage is the network. And you will need other people's relationships in order to maximize your success in the seat that you're sitting in or the seat that you aspire to sit in. And most of the time, we don't like to ask other people for help. We think that if we ask someone for help, we will now be exposed as not knowing that thing which we think everybody think we ought to know. Or we are afraid to ask someone for help because we are afraid that they will turn us down. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you ask someone for help and they turn you down, there is only one word: next. Where one person won't, somebody else will. And you can't let one person's rejection stop you on your ascension to maximizing your success. Winners may ask when, they may ask how, but they never ask if, because they know how the story ends. I leave you with this last story. Young man, absolutely adore, summa cum laude undergrad, came to work for Morgan Stanley, considered outstanding all 3 years, went off to do something internationally, then decided he wanted to go to one of those great business schools in the East. Called me up one day, said, you know, I've applied, haven't heard anything. I know you know a few people. Can you call and check on my candidacy? So I pick up the phone, I call the admissions director, said, hey, just calling to check on so-and-so. She said, oh, funny you should call today. We were just about to send out the reject letters. I said, oh, no, wait a minute. I went to my pitch on this candidate. Then she said, consider that you've done something good for someone today. We're going to give him a chance to interview. No guarantees that he gets in, but you've made great recommendations to us over the last decade. We're going to let him tell his story. I said, thank you very much. Hung up the phone, picked up the phone, called the candidate, said, you were right. You were just about to get dinged, but you're going to get an opportunity to tell your story, and I want you to leave it on the floor. Leave it on the floor. 4 days later, admissions director calls me. She said, I saw your candidate. I said, and? She said, loved him. Loved him. He's in, and you can let him know if you like. I said, oh, no, I would never take away that thrill of getting that call from your institution. 4 days later, candidate calls me and said, I just want to let you know I got in. I said, I know, I've been sitting on it for 4 days. And he said, I just want to say thank you. I said, no. The gratitude does not go to me. The applause goes to you because you use your network. If you had not picked up the phone to call me, you would have had a markedly different outcome in your aspiration to matriculate at that institution. He said, but it was so hard for me to call you. I said, you know how highly I think of you. I put myself in your way to be used. Ladies and gentlemen, if someone has put themselves in your way to be used, use them. Use them. Your network is one of the most valuable and important tools in your tool chest. And do not be preoccupied with what you can do to pay that person back. There will be ample opportunity for you to repay them, or more importantly, for you to pay it forward. Every class that you have had, every relationship that you have had, every experience that you have had has uniquely informed your ability to maximize your success in the seat that you're sitting in or the seat that you aspire to sit in. NAWBO Chicago, if you expect to win, you will. I thank you, and the floor is yours. Thank you. Thank you.